It's just not me and Skelly. For 5 months, I've been rocking it. Trump, MAGA. Been paying attention to Europe and Canada. I've been telling people, they laugh at me. They laugh at us. Say, it's not just America. It's strange because if I had to choose, like if I had to just, I would probably lean Democrat up until 2020. And now, like, there's a lot of people leaning right, not just America. Watch. Kind of makes me feel like maybe I know a couple things. Just a couple things. Let's watch. Sometimes the news is fake, but let's watch.
There are a lot of unhappy people in Europe these days, and they can take out their unhappiness on the bureaucrats in Brussels this weekend. Politico labels this Europe's Trump moment.
Yep.
People are fed up with the system at the moment. So things must be changed.
European Union elites are nervous, and for good reason.
It will be an existential fight against those who want less Europe.
The European Parliament election is seen as a referendum on both the EU and national governments. And the growing discontent in the European Union has more and more citizens voting for the right. Right-wing parties are already in power or supporting governments in 7 out of the EU's 27 nations. And they've become major political players in several other nations. Anti-immigrant firebrand Geert Wilders.
You see these colors here? You gotta go back because it's blue, right? So I think blue is Democrat, but we're talking Europe. So let's just go back real quick.
Voting for the right. Right-wing parties are already in power or supporting governments in 7 out of the EU's 27 nations.
See what I'm saying there?
And they've become major political players in several other nations. Anti-immigrant firebrand Geert Wilders is about to take over the Dutch government. And in France, Marine Le Pen's national rally is poised to take the most votes among all French parties in this election. A big reason behind the surge of the right in Europe is that Europeans have become much poorer. One study found that the average EU country is now poorer per capita than every U.S. state except Idaho and Mississippi. Critics blame overregulation, high taxes, falling wages, and higher energy costs. Much of that due to the EU's Green Deal to stop climate change. While Brussels worries about the end of the world, many Europeans are just trying to make it to the end of the month with their paychecks. Polling shows the number one concern going into this election is poverty. Holger Toos is a German energy and climate expert.
It's always poverty. Europe, America, everywhere. And we still here. That's what it's always been about. And we're still here. So all you got to do is change the vote. God.
Basically, it's pure desperation. People want change. And they want to feel it. They want to see it in their wallet.
The European right gets called far right, radical right, Nazi, and fascist. In most cases, though, their policy positions would look like America's Republican Party. They want to stop policies that are making Europeans poorer and strengthen borders to stop what they see as a migrant invasion. Many European countries have an acute housing shortage at a time when migrants are being given a place to live. This Dutchman says there are houses for the foreigners and Dutch people can hardly get a house. Chris Alberts is a Dutch journalist.
Years ago, it was already difficult to find a house in Amsterdam that was affordable. But now, if you would go to distant cities that probably no one in America has ever heard of, even there, it's impossible to find a house that is affordable.
Frank Ferretti, the executive director of the think tank MCC Brussels, is considered to be a major intellectual force in the European right. He's hopeful this election will blunt harmful policies from Brussels.
Policies to do with encouraging mass migration, with the green agenda, the net zero policy, which is very harmful to people's lives and to the economy. So on balance, I think the prognosis is positive, but it's not going to be such a radical transformation as many people hope. You have to remember that the European Union is a very anti-democratic institution. There's a massive bureaucracy. So my fear is that this massive bureaucracy is still going to be there the day after the election.
Some believe even if the right doesn't do as well as expected, it could do well enough to force some major policy changes. Dale Hurd, CBN News.
It's not. I'm normal. I would normally be a Democrat. So it's weird to be rooting Republicans. Republicans always lose, but there's new ones coming up. But in Europe, it's the same thing. Too much regulation, too much telling us how to live our life. That's it. Too much craziness with all the boys and girls sports, immigrate. I mean, it's just too much going on. Let's go Europe. And we already know how that election turned out in Europe, by the way. We already know. Why did the far right? It's everywhere.
So that was how the EU voted. But what should we make of this result? Why did the Eurosceptics make gains?
You know what? Point of story, it's everywhere. I'm starting to think it's okay to have a culture and want to hold on to it. It's okay to have bad things in the culture because you work through them. You got to figure them out. But this, what Europe is doing, what America's been going, like, what is going on? It don't have to be like this. Let's go.